Hello everyone, welcome back to MandoLessons Live, episode, I was going to do it with my hands, episode 100. That's a lot of fives and out of a hand, but thank you all for the well wishes, great to see everybody in the chat, and we got to turn that clicking off. Yeah, thank you all for hanging with me for 100 of these things. We'll start an all day, what would it take? It would take 3, 4, a little over 4 days if we just watched them all straight back to back. Have a little watch party. But yeah, thank you all so much. It's been a fun 100 episodes, and I can't wait for the next 100. I'm gonna catch up with the chat. Let me know if this is your first time here. It would be great to know that. Let me know where you're coming in from, if you so choose. How long you've been playing the mandolin? Maybe you just got a mandolin. Let me know where you're at in the chat, and I'll try to do my best to keep up. We're gonna have a good time. All right, we got Sukan, we have Denise, Dan, Rick, Sukmeet, Betsy, Woody, Garoyd, Sheldon, Lewis, Kim, Stephanie, Uncle Bobby, William, Julia, Alf, Alan, let's see, Tobias, Brienne, Kevin, Sherry, all sorts of good. Patrick, Marion, amazing. All right, yeah. So hope you're all doing well this weekend. If you're new here, the way these work is it's pretty much an hour of Q&A. I'm here for you. If you have questions on anything mandolin related, I'm happy to answer them. So don't be bashful. No question is too simple. No question is too advanced. Also, I'm happy to play tunes if people have tune requests, as long as they are in the public domain and I can remember how to play them. So keep the chat running. I'll do my best to keep up with it. And yeah, here we go. All right, so Sukan immediately has, he says, I've been playing mandolin on my own at home for 45 years, but I still don't understand the perfect style of any mandolin. How can I get help from you? Please let me know. Depends on what you mean by style, I guess. You know, if you've been playing for 45 years, you've been doing it right. You know, I've been playing for less than half of that. And, you know, as long as you're having fun, that's great. You know, if you want to learn a particular style, like maybe you want to learn bluegrass or Irish music, there's ways to kind of seek out those styles. Also, if there's people playing music around you, definitely when the time is right, get together with them when we can all do so safely. And get together with some friends and play some music. Learn from one another. And that's going to be one of the biggest things to do. So yeah, I hope that's helpful in one way or another. It's hard to say with you know, what kind of music you're playing or anything like that. All right, catching up with the chat. I saw a video guy playing a string instrument. The strings seem to vibrate slowly, but more comparing to the mandolin. So do I have to change the tension of the strings to be able to play? String tension is totally a personal preference. So I like heavy gauge strings, but I also have been playing for a long time. I've got a lot of calluses. I play pretty hard. If you're a more light-handed player, you can definitely try light gauge or medium gauge. I would say I recommend, in general, medium gauge strings, like D'Addario J74s, whatever says medium. I'm not particularly brand specific. All strings are good strings as long as they do the job. But you could try light strings and see if those are a little easier on your fingers. It's totally personal preference. Depends on what kind of instrument you're playing. If you're playing a really old mandolin that was maybe built more fragilely or built lighter, it makes sense to put on lighter gauge strings, things like that. But yeah, definitely experiment with string gauges and things like that and figure out what works best for you. All right, let's see. Do I have to change the tension of the strings to play slides and hammer-ons easily? Congrats on the first live stream century. Yeah, so, you know, hammer-ons and pull-offs it'll change. I'll say it'll change how they feel and how they sound by using different sets of strings. So I would say, you know, if you're having trouble playing with the strings that are on your instrument, try a lighter gauge strings and see if that helps. Awesome, we got some talk about Maine Fiddle Camp. So yeah, Maine Fiddle Camp, a camp I teach at every year and have taught at a bunch of times this year, or in the last 15 months or whatever it's been, is doing another virtual live stream. And virtual camp. You can find all the information at Maine, M-A-I-N-E, fiddlecamp.com. It's going to be a great time. I hope to see a bunch of you there. It looks like I'm going to see Lewis and Alf and Denise. So good stuff. Yeah, it's going to be a good time. It's always fun, and looking forward to seeing you. Actually, I don't know if Denise is going to make it there. That was just an assumption looking at Lewis and Alf. Oh, and Alf as well. Maybe Alf is going to be there. Hope so. Whoever is going to be there is great. I hope to see you all there. That would be a great big old mandolin fun time. So check out mainfiddlecamp.com for all of the information. All right, Lewis got the Easter egg on that one. Gotta love the new intro tune. So yeah, I did a little shove that pig's foot a little further in the fire. The name is too long to actually put in that intro card, so I had to shorten it to shove that pig's foot. But very fun. Nice to change it up every 100 episodes or so, just to keep things fresh. All right, let's see. Oh yeah, I think I might have missed a chat here. Night here, yeah. Yeah, so wherever you are, morning, noon, or night, it's all good. All right. Nova Scotia. Pennsylvania. Awesome. Paul's first live stream, but I've been watching the Patreon office hours. So yeah, I do. There's a bunch of patrons here in the chat and watching, and so I do a patron-only live stream that you can find at patreon.com/MandoLessons. Link in the description, where I do this sort of thing once a month for just patrons. It's a little easier for me to keep up with the chat because there's less folks, and I can really dive in deep into questions that people might have. Mix it up a little bit from these live streams where I'm always trying to keep up. Awesome. Stephanie's got her mandolin ready. That's what I like to hear. I hope you all got mandolins in your hands. Ursanos, good to have you back. Good to see you. Nice. Lewis is working on Danny Boy for their mom's birthday. Glad to hear it. Old Favorite. Yeah, I can play Old Favorite. Oh, can I? Yes, I can. Great tune. Never play this tune. I always forget about it. That's a hard one to stop. Great suggestion, Stephanie. Thank you. Yeah, I love that tune. I always often forget how to play that one. There's a couple G jigs that I get mixed up. Old Favorite, Out on the Ocean. And there's another one in there that I can't quite remember how it goes, but anyway, thank you for that request. I love that tune. I'm glad I could pull it out. It was probably a 10% chance that I was going to be able to do that. Patrick says, I just upgraded to a Gibson A50. Cool. Mandolin nerds, at least speaking for myself, want to know how old, what year. Yeah, I had one for a while. Those are beautiful old instruments. Completely erased my F-style snobbishness. Yeah, I'm an A-style mandolin player through and through. Do you feel like you have to defend your A-style mandolin? I wouldn't say defend. I think F-styles are sort of like a little more kind of classic, even though they're more modern than A-styles. I don't know. I like A-styles. I prefer them. And that said, if I ever find an F-style that really catches my attention, I'll do what I can to get it. But no, I think it's mostly a personal. I feel like especially in the last 5 or 10 years, A-style mandolins really have become a little more popular. And especially outside of bluegrass, you will often see less F-style mandolins and more A-styles and oval holes, things like that. But yeah, a lot of people are like, oh, why don't you have an F-style? I just prefer A-styles, and they're better bang for the buck. They're about half the price of an F-style of a similar builder and model. Did I miss anything? Nice. Brian says, signing up under the real name. Started mandolin in lockdown. Awesome. You are not alone. There are tons of folks that have, picking up something, new hobby during the time at home. Sukhmeet says, is mandolin originally Irish or Italian? Italian. You'll see these old bowlback mandolins, also called Neapolitan mandolins, taterbug mandolins. So this is sort of the original style. It sort of evolved out of the lute, an early music and medieval instrument. And then, yeah, so it became Italian. And then I believe was it a Spanish group that came to the States? Came to the U.S. in the late 1800s and sort of sparked a little bit of a mandolin craze, and Gibson started making mandolins. And then from there, it turned into bluegrass. Gibson was making these old oval hole style. This is turning into a lot of mandolins in my hand, but Gibson started making these A-style oval hole mandolins, and then they made F-style oval hole. And then in the 20s, they started making F-style F-hole, and Lloyd Loar, the guy who invented F-style F-hole mandolins, also made just one A-style F-hole mandolin called the Griffith Loar. And I gotta put things down here. And then the mandolin traveled over to Ireland, became a fairly modern modern instrument to be using in Irish music, I should say. I think there's a book. Was it Graham MacDonald who put out a book on the history of the mandolin? Can't remember, but I know it's out there. I haven't read it, but I should. All right, Jim from Savannah, good to have you here. Ursana says, I still struggle to get enough practice in to get good. By the time I remember to sit down and practice, it's late enough. I worry about disturbing the neighbors. You are not alone. That is, I think everybody, I can certainly commiserate with that. I've played a lot of mandolin at this point, but instruments that I'm working on, like a button accordion right now is always on my list. Gotta play button accordion. And the hardest thing I find, one thing that I often say with mandolins is leave it, if you can have it out in a stand somewhere that it's not going to get knocked over or pets are going to get to it, or hang it on the wall, something like that. If you can have it out of the case, just kind of ready to go, that makes it a little easier just to pick it up. And the same thing with the button accordion. You know, I've got it out of the case in the living room, just sitting there. And the hardest thing for me to do is like actually just pick it up. And once I pick it up, I start having a great time and, you know, start working on stuff and getting better and get sucked into it. But I'm always like, oh, I gotta play button accordion, and then never really comes around. So just know that when you do pick it up, even if it's just for 5 minutes, it's great to do, and you can't get worse if you just pick it up. It's the hardest part to do, is just get it into your hands. Nice! Mike just got a rogue. Excellent. Welcome to the world of mandolin. All right, now we've got a crazy thing going on here. A spree of super chats that is extremely generous from Lewis and Uncle Bobby and Brianne and Denise, who is now starting to amp up the... Denise has started a bidding war, and then Edward has taken the bait. Thank you all so much. It's extremely generous of you. So however, you know, a lot of these people here are also patrons. So these are people who are already supporting me over on Patreon. Are just being extra nice today. Really appreciate it. These guys are always extra nice. You guys are the best community I could hope for. And yeah, so however people want to support me is great. There's the super chat function. There's links in the description of this video. If anyone was trying to make a donation through PayPal, I think it was broken for a couple days, but I just got that fixed last night. But thank you all so much for the support. Links in the description if you want to figure out more of that. Come join us on Patreon. It's super fun over there, and if you support at whatever level you feel comfortable with is great. And if you do $5 a month or more, you can do patron-only live streams, which is like this, except not as hectic because I am able to keep up. All right, let's see. I'm not gonna be able to say this name. Sela Cow Poetica says, oh, Kiko, great. That is a little easier. From the Netherlands, just got my mandolin. I play baritone ukulele. Do you have any, or maybe baritone horn and ukulele? Or baritone ukulele and regular ukulele? Do you have any tips for me? What should I learn first? I just want to have fun. You are on the right track. If you can have fun, you'll just want to play more. So I think so my website, MandoLessons.com, check out the beginners series. It may be, you know, if you're already playing some stringed instruments, it might be a lot of repetitive information, but I would say, you know, take the hour that it takes to go through the beginner series slowly. You don't have to do it all at once. And see if you learn anything there. You know, I have some things about how to, you know, get your first chords going, chord shapes, scales. Also just like how to feel the most comfortable and relaxed with the instrument in your hands. Check out the beginner series, and then once you're through that, just jump right into some tunes. I find tunes to be a lot more fun than working on technical skills like learning all my scales and chord shapes and things like that. That stuff will come as you find a tune you want to learn and say, hey, I don't know how to do that. Then you can go into like the technique and fundamental zone and figure out, oh, how do I play a triplet? Or how do I play in the key of A? Things like that. But yeah, go through the beginner series and then jump right into some simple tunes, and that'll keep you entertained, I think. Awesome. Brian says, I'm getting down my major chord chops. Are there magic shapes for minors and sevenths like there are for major chords? There are. So there. Two answers. If you have enormous hands, you can do a chord shape that nobody does because nobody's hands are big enough. So if you're talking about this G chop chord, you can make it G minor by moving your second finger to the first fret, so it becomes 7, 5, 1, 3. But that's nobody does that. And similarly with seventh shapes, you can go 7, 5, 2, 1. But that's even harder. I can't make that make any sound. So what I recommend is learning some bar shapes. I have a lesson on my website called Learn Every Major and Minor Chord, and you end up with this I'll use A as an example. It's 2-2 with one finger, or you can kind of bar a little bit. I just kind of mash one finger between those two sets of strings, and it's close enough. And then 4 on the D string. Sorry, 4 on the A string and 5 on the E string. 2-2, 4-5. And you can use that as a chop chord. Now making it minor, and what I'll say is you can also, I'm using first finger, second, and third. You can also use 1, 3, and 4. And to make it minor, you just take that A string, move it down 1 fret from C sharp to C natural. It doesn't really matter what fingers you're using on these higher strings, whatever feels comfortable. So major, minor, and then you can slide that anywhere. Or you can move it across, like you go to D major, like you go from G to C, you can go A to D, and then you can make that minor. And then with 7th chords, let's go back to our A major, 2, 2, 4, 5. Take that 5th fret on the E string, make it the 3rd fret, 2, 2, 4, 3. That gives you your dominant 7 chord. Woohoo! All right. And again, there's that web. My lesson is learn every major and minor chord, and just look around. It's probably in the left-hand technique section of my technique and fundamentals section of the website. How to use cross-picking melodies from Dillip. I have some lessons. Go to my website and check out, again, in the technique and fundamentals section. I've got there's some strum pattern series at the kind of near the bottom of the page. And in there, I talk about some cross-picking. Cross-picking is a very kind of person-specific thing. There's no real like set patterns. I mean, one very simple one is, let's just use a G chord maybe. Just make sure your right hand's going down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. And go down on the G, up on the D, down on the A, up on the D, down on the G. Often you have to pick three sets of strings rather than all 4, just to keep the pattern in a repeatable loop. Check out, you can just search on my website cross-picking. You might need to put a space, might not, but in between the words, and hopefully that's helpful. Alfred Walls, he makes Italian mandolins, but they're really expensive. I don't know Alfred Walls. I'm pretty out of touch with the Italian kind of bowlback style mandolins, but I should look into those. Bow stroke. Kim says, will you teach us bow strokes? I don't know what picking patterns are called. Oh yeah, okay. So again, on my website, in the technique and fundamentals section, there's it's called pick direction, and just sort of what direction to go when you're picking a melody. The general rule is if you're playing a reel, so a tune in 4/4, 2/2, however you want to think about it, the pick is always going down, up, down, up, down, up if your measure is full of eighth or short notes. So, like if you're playing, my right hand, if you just check it out, it's just always going down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. And if you want to play quarter notes or long notes, you might double down. Long, short, 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 long, 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 short, 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 long, down, 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 up, down, up, down, up, down, 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 up, down, up, down, up, down. But again, look up pick direction on my website. And then for jigs, the pattern is down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down. Little groups of 3, down, up, down, and then it kind of doubles down and does another down. So it's down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down. But you take out the pause and you get down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down. Again, check out, look up pick direction is the sort of the phrase that people use. Whiskey in the Jar is a classic song. That's a good one. I think it might be copyrighted, so I don't think I can do that one. I think I've looked into it in the past. A lesson on Old Favorite. Have I not done Old Favorite? Let me look it up here real quick. I'd be surprised. I feel like I probably have. Maybe I haven't. Wow. Oh, no, I did. Okay, so yeah, it's in... I do have a lesson for Old Favorite on my website. Ooh, it's very old. It's back in... Whoa, yeah. Let's see how old this one is, since we're kind of going down. 6 years ago. Not crazy old. It's the half-life age of MandoLessons. Can we make a tune from the major and minor scales of a note? For example, A scale on the whole mandolin, both major and minor scales. Yeah, so that's, scales are what create melodies and tunes, and they can be major or minor, so absolutely. Triplets, yes. Triplets is a big subject. Again, MandoLessons.com. Look up triplets. I've got a bunch of different lessons. A sort of brief overview is the way to get that snappy sound out of a triplet is if you have like maybe the 5th fret on your D string. So you're gonna the triplet is down up down, or it could be up down up, depends on where it comes in the phrase. And what you're doing is you're muting those first two just by not pushing the string down, and then the third one is the note value, so it becomes, and that becomes a little faster. Again, lots more in-depth on MandoLessons.com. All right, Patrick says he got a 56 A50. Those are awesome. Yeah, that's generally a good call with Gibsons, in my opinion. Is if you can stay in the 50s or earlier. This I've got a couple Gibson. That 6-string archtop is a 53. Oh, and actually, so is that tenor guitar archtop. Also a 53. I really like. And then that's the body of a 57 small body Gibson. I like 50s Gibsons a lot. Rolling Waves is a great tune. I think I've got a lesson for that on my website. My mandolin hobby this year was learning a new tune by ear every day for a year. Wow, that is dedication. That's a great way to learn a lot of tunes. I've tried that in the past, and I've gotten like 4 days in. So congratulations, that's incredible. What strings do you use on the bowlback? I have a similar Vega and haven't figured out what works. I think I've just got the Dario light gauge strings. I think EJ73, phosphor bronze. You definitely want light gauge strings on those bowlbacks because they are really lightly built. All right, Max, good to have you here from Russia. How do you get those red banners? Oh, is that the super chat? Wow, there's so many super chats. This is crazy. Oh my god. Yeah. Wow. Well, thank you all so much for this very kind burst of support. William, yeah, I don't know exactly how to, maybe somebody can talk you through it. Oh, I see you're trying to do $57. Thank you so much. If you can't get the super chat to work, you can always just do it via PayPal. Links in the description. That's equally as good. And I can, oh yeah, you actually just did that. Thank you so much for the support via PayPal. Wow, there's even more of these news. Wow. Thank you all so much. Very kind. Sukhmeet says, I have sweaty hands and I sometimes struggle moving my left hand through the fretboard. Can you show a hand position to avoid that problem? Yeah, so unless you're shifting up and down the neck, your hand mostly wants to be in the same spot. So my thumb tends to float right around the first fret. So if I'm playing, if you can figure out a way to get your like 2nd fret to 7th fret with your pointer finger and pinky and not have to move your thumb. There should only be a few places that your thumb really needs to sit. And for me, it's everybody's depends on what kind of size and shape your hands are, but for me, that's like here. That 2 to 7 is a great exercise. If you can stay nice and relaxed, get your first finger on the 2nd fret and your pinky on the 7th, all the way across the fretboard. And then I go to the 5th fret, so my thumb's more around like the 4th fret. And I'm hitting, what is that, 5th and 10th, and then 7th and 12th. So think about where your thumb actually, when it needs to be moving. Most of the time it's going to, especially, you know, with 99% of the tunes on my website, your thumb's just going to be sitting right at the first position the whole time. And that's really, don't need to get, don't need to move that too much. Yeah, wall hooks are great. As you can tell, I'm a fan. Yeah, you are helping me with my guitar acquisition syndrome. I think I'm gonna make. Here's a question: would people be interested if I were to get or some instruments built, which I'm going to? It's not mandolins. It's a couple mandolin-ish family instruments. Would people be interested in, like, not necessarily lessons, but little like videos about the process of getting a mandolin or getting an instrument custom built? I'm gonna do it. So I just sent off a deposit. More info coming. But if you're interested in that sort of stuff and want to see like videos about it, I don't know how I would do them at this point, but I'm happy to try. It's gonna take a while. They're not gonna start getting built until the winter. But more info on that soon. And if you're interested in kind of following along that journey, let me know. Maybe I'll make it an Instagram exclusive to get more people to follow me on Instagram. Brienne, don't worry about the 99 cents. It's all good. Any size donation is equally greatly appreciated, as is just knowing that people are out there playing mandolins. So, no, it's all the same in my book. The number does not matter. Yes, gear acquisition. Yeah, I guess gear is maybe more. If I could figure out some way to give you a banner, William, I would definitely do it. But I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to use YouTube. You all are better at YouTube than me. Thank you so much, Jim, for the super chat as well. Brian says, my fingers are chubby stubs, so I'm going to need those bar shapes. Yeah. And, you know, a lot of times, you know, people see this shape, myself included, and it's just like, oh, I'm never going to be able to do that. And you can, most people, unless your hands are extremely small, can get that shape. It might take months, might take a year of just like trying it. And it's just figuring out all those tiny little muscles and how to stay relaxed. You know, if you're relaxed all the way up into your back and your core, that's going to be relaxed all the way through your arms, which is going to allow you to stretch your fingers further on the instrument. But it takes a long time. That said, I almost never use this shape. So here's a quick little example I like to do. Here's this chop shape in a bluegrass context. And then I'm also going to do this chop shape. Two string chord versus the 4th string chop. So or almost identical sounding. And that's because when I'm playing this shape, I'm rarely hitting these high strings, these A and E strings, because it's more brightness than I really want to hear. And I really want the kind of the thud and the percussiveness of that chop chord to come through. So I might hit those strings but just muted to give it a little high end, but I don't ever really play like, that's just too bright for my ears. So you can do a lot with just 2-finger chords, or those kind of bar shapes, for sure. And again, yeah, so those bar shapes. You can also look up 2-finger chords on my website. There's also a lesson called, I think, 6 chords from one shape. All that sort of stuff is about alternate finger shapes for chords that'll get you the sound you want without having to make that giant stretch. All right, Rosemary, good to see you here. Joan, thank you so much for the super chat. What does crooked mean? Great question from Edward. Crooked means... so if I were to take a tune that everybody knows, like maybe Angeline the Baker, it's sort of... If you count through it, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 4, 1, 2. I can't do that so hard. Anyway, it's like, it really is very even in, it's like, you can think of it as a 16 bar tune or a 32 bar tune, something you would often do your average contra dance to, but you can make Angeline the Baker crooked by adding a little phrase to it. So maybe you do... I'll do that again. So if you're trying to play along with that, trying to play along with me playing Angeline the Baker like that, it's probably like, whoa, I'm no longer playing along with Baron. And that's true, because I made the tune crooked. It's just got a little extra phrase in there that kind of takes it out of that straight 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's a crooked, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Extra phrase makes it crooked. It doesn't matter how, and 1, 2, 3. It can be a little short, it can be a little long, it can be very long. But that's the idea behind a crooked tune. I should make a lesson on that, because that question comes up a lot. Yeah, Lewis says my dance card is filling up this month. Jam in Washington, Indiana after the stream. Jam in Dagonia Springs next week. Maine Fiddle Camp in 2 weeks. I know. I had the first Irish music session with some new friends here in Portland a couple days ago, and it was awesome. And yeah, it seems like things are starting to fill back up. Can't wait to get out and see y'all playing mandolin sooner than later. Denise, it'll happen. It's coming. Don't worry. Thank you, Alf, for this very kind super chat. I love also when people do emojis. The program that I use on my computer, I can't see the emojis, so I just see like a text description of the little picture emoji. So I have from Alf. Fan character jumping in the air in front of a big red heart with popcorn in their hands. I love the text description of the little image. Yeah, I don't know maybe we can look into the history of Whiskey in the Jar. I think my guess is that is a recently composed tune, a song. So Kmead says I have a problem putting my pinky finger 2 frets down after my ring finger on the G string. Yes. So in order to get that exercise I was talking about, it really, go back to my beginners series and just look at the like, it seems a little counterintuitive, but the more relaxed you are through your shoulders and your core, through your, having your elbow at a nice neutral angle, not backward or forward or out to the side or anything like that. And as relaxed as you can stay up into your fingers, the more you're going to be able to stretch your fingers easily. Whereas if you're really tight, then you, if you tense up every muscle on your left hand side, first do this, take your hand, maybe so you're looking at your palm, and go like that. Or you can do it on the mandolin. Well, no, don't do it on the mandolin, but, see how much you can stretch. And now, hunch over and, tighten up every muscle in your arm and see how far you can move your hand. And it's much less. And that's the same idea. If you can stay relaxed and comfortable and have, all your muscles in nice straight lines right out until you need to move your fingers, you can get a much larger stretch. So if I'm really relaxed, and I have fairly big hands here, I can get almost 7 frets, 8 frets of stretch. But if I'm really tightened up and I go for that, it's I can maybe get 5, and it just feels terrible. So the more relaxed you can be, the better. Yeah, Alf does win the super chat with the Norwegian kroner. Thanks, Ant-Man. Good to have you here. Glad you could make it. Thank you for the well wishes on 100. Cool. Glad you said, taught me 80% of what I know on mandolin. Glad to hear it. I would love to know the other 20% that you know. I feel like I've learned most of what I know from trying to make these videos and doing these live streams and getting excellent questions from you guys. Arzeli Martinez, good to have you here. Apologies if I'm not saying your name correctly, but glad to have you here. Thanks for joining. Ursana says, I'm still using the strings that my Epiphone came with. Yeah, often it wouldn't hurt. I mean, it's up to personal preference. Changing strings is kind of annoying. I don't like doing it, but I do it a lot. But that said, the strings that come on an instrument, if that instrument was sitting in a factory or in a music store, in a box somewhere for 2 years before you bought it, that means the strings are already 2 years old. And then if you're, still picking on that a year later, I think a new set of strings can brighten up your playing and improve the sound of your instrument a little bit. Question from Sukhmeet says, I never end up with my pick touching the pick guard. Should I remove it? I do. I don't like pick guards for some reason. I don't really know why. My pick doesn't hit them. I don't know, I like the look of an instrument without a pick guard. Unless it's got pickups on it or things like that. So try it, it's pretty easy to take off and put back on again. I do it all the time. You might need a tiny little screwdriver or something. So yeah, Ursanos, if you change the string, what I do is I change strings 2 at a time. So I'll take off both the G strings, put on 2 new G strings, take off both the D strings, put on 2 new Ds, etc. And that way the bridge doesn't move, and it'll stay right where it is. And even if the intonation does go off a little bit, it's a good time to, you can loosen all the strings. And I have a lesson on my website about how to set up the instrument. You can also get a great PDF, free kind of mandolin setup guide from Rob Meldrum. If you look up Rob Meldrum, Meldrum, first name Rob, R-O-B, mandolin. He's on the Mandolin Cafe forum, but also I bet if you just Google that, you'll figure out, you can send him an email and say, hey, can I have this free setup guide? And I think it's by donation the way I run my website. And he'll be able to hook you up with a simple guide to set things up. I think it's an important lesson to learn how these things work and how to fix things when they're broken. I just got a different pedal steel, and it's got more strings and more levers and everything, and I feel like a car mechanic. I'm laying on the floor underneath it with a bunch of screwdrivers trying to figure out how to get it to work. And it's a little frustrating, but I'm getting there, and I'm learning a lot in the process about how those things work. Cool. People are interested in the build videos. Cool. Could you do a simple to complex for Road to Lisdoon Varna? Great suggestion. I will definitely do that. Yeah, EJ74s, D'Addario, those are great standard strings that are pretty easily findable anywhere, or GHS, things like that. Cool, people are interested in the instrument build videos. Glad to hear it. More information coming. Do you know John Hardy, the bluegrass tune? Sort of. Not enough to play it on John Hardy there. Do you have a humidity control system for your instruments in that room? I worry about hanging mine on the wall. So yes, I do have, in Maine, when it got like negative degrees for weeks at a time, Fahrenheit, and really hot in the summers, I did have some humidity control. I don't actually in this room yet. There's some amount of humidity control in the house already. But if things are really dry, I do just get a little like floor standing humidifier. Try to keep it around 50-55% humidity. Play your sickest riff. I don't know what my sickest riff is. Sickest riff. Oh, that's a hard one. Let's play something funky. Does that count as a sick riff? I don't think I've ever tried to play a sick riff before. Always interested to see build progress. Oh, nice. You made a double O. Very cool. Octave mandolin next. Yeah, keep it up. I would love to see those. Send me some pictures. MandoLessons at MandoLessons.com. Ursula says, I still remember researching mandolins to try find an affordable one. Yeah, Kentucky. Yeah, that's the thing. It's hard to suggest. People often ask what instruments they should get, and if they're outside of the United States, I find it really hard just because I don't know what the mandolin market is in Canada or England or India or Italy, anywhere but the U.S. really. And the instruments that are affordable in the U.S. are often not affordable elsewhere. But definitely, keep an eye on like Craigslist or Kijiji or whatever the Canadian, is that Kijiji, the Canadian one? Anyway, look at Facebook Marketplace, things like that. Often there's good deals floating around. Cool, DK me. Glad to have you here. Thanks for joining. I really need to work on incorporating licks into my improvised solos. Any suggestions? I would say listen to a lot of music. Listen to the kind of music you want to play. If you hear somebody play a lick that you really like, it's going to be hard going, but see if you can transcribe that lick. Learn it by ear. Use a slow down program to really get it. Maybe write it down if you're a music reader. And it may be slow going if you're not used to doing that kind of practice. But the more you do it and the more licks you learn from other people, the quicker it'll go, and it's a great ear training and musicianship exercise. Burl Ives under the name Kilkenny Mountain. Interesting. Good information. Cool. Good to see you, Alf. Thanks so much for sticking around and the super chat, and see you soon. Crooked is like a mistake that gets you back on track. Not so much. It's not a mistake. It's like it's written into the tune. So, you know, all these bluegrass and old time tunes for the most part are very kind of have the same formula that you get used to hearing, but just in different traditions, and including in old time. There's a lot of crooked old time tunes like Tennessee Mountain Fox Chase. If you look at the number of bars in that tune, it kind of has a little extra stuff. It's not like four measures apart and then 4 measures apart. You get 5 and 3 and things like that. Yeah, Brienne says it's easy to get into mandolin acquisition syndrome. Yeah, and it does get expensive fast. All right, I'll try to catch up with the chat here. We're running towards the end of the hour. I might do a little lightning round and then go into a little play along on Ways of the World. Any problems with tendinitis? In the past, I have, but working on a lot of the techniques of being really relaxed all the way from your core out through your arms can be really helpful. Definitely take breaks if you're experiencing pain. Don't push it. It's not worth it. So, take the rest that you need and really focus on being as relaxed as possible. And that has helped me a lot in the past. I was having a lot of trouble with even nerve pain in my elbows that was like making fingers go to sleep. And I went to a sports massage therapist who just talking to me on the phone. He was like, "What do you do?" I was like, "Oh, I play mandolin." He's like, "Ah, there you go. It's in your back." I was like, "That's crazy. Well, that doesn't make any sense." He was like, "Well, come in." And he found spots on my back, under my scapula, where he could hit it, and I would feel it in the fingers that were asleep on my hands, and it really taught me how interconnected everything is. So, there's also things like Alexander technique. Whatever you can do to be as relaxed as possible, the better, and it'll make you sound better too, and it'll be a lot more comfortable to play. String, yeah, I've been meaning to try Stringjoy strings. I like they have a tension calculator that I use often, but I've yet to try their strings. Hello from Sweden. Good to have you here. Thanks for joining. Another pedal steel, yeah. One in, one out on the pedal steels. I'm gonna sell that other one, but it's a weird 14-string monster that is more pedal steel than I know what to do with. 10 strings was more than I knew what to do with, but I'm kind of a masochist. Anne of all on YouTube did a video where she made her own mandolin. Cool. Who is doing the custom build? Should I let the cat out of the bag now? We'll stretch it out, maybe at the end of the hour. Things ever get dry in Portland? Yeah, it does get dry in the summers. And I did have some... I do have some amount of humidification abilities. I don't have a floor model humidifier right now, but I probably will get one soon. Have you ever tried to play Toxic by Britney Spears? Chris Thiele does an awesome version of Toxic. I don't know how to do it, but check out Chris's version. Who just put out a new album. Check out Chris Thiele's new album. What is it called? Lay Songs. I've listened to a little of it, and it's very cool. Nice. Seth got a breed love today. Thanks so much, William. Good to see you. Thanks for the support. Yeah, Nashville is a great place to be looking for mandolins. I would love to get to Nashville someday. If you know Mandolin Mondays by David Benedict, have you seen Tapas Roy's Vihanga? I do know Mandolin Mondays. It's an amazing, amazing collection of. If people don't know Mandolin Mondays, check it out. I don't know that specific one, but I'll go look it out. Look for it. When I play and sing, my mandolin drowns out the singers. I've tried felt picks and leather picks. Any advice to turn down the volume when playing? I think playing quietly is definitely a skill that you have to develop, just in the same way that you have to develop learning how to play faster or louder or different techniques. Also, that's where kind of percussion, if it's the right kind of tune, you know, rather than going, that's where like the chop chord can come in handy, because you can't hear anything over that nonstop. So you get, I am a man accustomed to sorrow. I see trouble all my days. And it becomes mostly percussion. So learning to leave that space can be helpful. All right, good to see you, Lewis. Yeah, I'm going over on this one. Have a good jam, Lewis. Keep us posted. Thank you, Rosemary, for the super chat. Glad to be a part of the mandolin journey. How do you feel about distressing relicking instruments along with speed neck modification? Good question. It's not my choice. I'm not that interested in owning relic instrument or like new instruments that look old. I mean, it's tricky. I think, yeah, you just gotta find that line for yourself. So I don't like instruments that have been like beat up at the factory to look old. But I mean, I do have some instruments that have like relic, like the finish itself isn't beat up, but it's just like it kind of looks a little old. It's not crackled or anything. It's just like, I don't know how to describe it. Like this smart mandolin, there's something about it that's just like, you know, it's 5 years old, but there's something about the finish that's like, it's spirit varnish, so it's very thin, and it has worn a little, like, I don't know if you can catch it in the, first of all, it's just a beautiful piece of wood. Okay, I'll put it out of the bag. I'm ordering a couple instruments from Lawrence. So this is Lawrence Smart built this 10-string mandolin that I got a couple years ago now. No, a couple years ago. A couple months. Got it back in December. And totally fell in love with it. So I'm getting a tenor guitar and a 6-string, a bunch of archtop instruments. I'm going to get a archtop tenor guitar, archtop 6-string guitar, and a 10-string mandocello octave mandolin tuned C, G, D, A, E, like this, except an octave lower. So it's a big project, but Lawrence is awesome to work with. I've been emailing him a bunch lately, and I just sort of gave the go-ahead, and it's not going to start until the winter, but that's it. So yeah, you know, and then you'll see instruments that have like aged hardware. I've got some banjos that have aged hardware, and I like the look of that, but you know, I don't like instruments that are super beat up. I have very beat up instruments. None out at the moment. But you just gotta find that, to each their own. It's not my style to have like factory distressed instruments, but if that's what you like, go for it. I like beat up old instruments, but that's my style, I guess. Great question, though. Yeah. Rand says, my husband and I joke about going to the mandolin store as a vacation. Yeah, that's a good time in my book. I like these vacations. I need a longer story about old riffs, Denise, at some point. All right, let's play a little Ways of the World. I think I'm all caught up with the chat. And, Speed Neck. I can go either way. I don't really care one way or the other. If people want to do it, great. If not, great. To each their own. So let's play a little Ways of the World is this week's play-along jam. 3-part tune. I kind of get a little mixed up with, I should probably look this up, actually. I can never remember exactly, especially when I'm thinking about it too hard, how many times each part goes. So I'm just going to look it up here so I can tell you so we can all play at the same time here. All right, so it's A, B, B, C, C. Great. But the C part is half length. How about that? Does that make it crooked? Maybe. I don't know. It's a little bit of wiggle room on what's crooked and what's not. So, boom, boom. People also play this tune starting and ending with different parts. That's fine. I always say it's the middle that counts. One. I'll play the melody. You play the chords. Here we go. A2. B. B2. C. C2. Here we go, A part. A2. B part. B2. C. Here's the A part. B part. B2. C. C2. Take it. B. B2. C. together one more time. C part. I love that tune. It's very strange. I think it's crooked. 3 parts, different lengths, but a fun tune. If that one's new to you, spend a little time with it. I've got a lesson on my website. Super fun. Nice. James says, currently working on speed, sight reading, and making my upstrokes on the 5th fret not sound muted. Great suggestions. Or great things to work on, I should say. And for the record, I started listening to Billy String, Sierra Hull, and Trampled by Turtles. And they're, all great groups. Lots of great mandolin music out there to listen to. Well, thank you all so much. Don't know exactly when my next live stream is going to be. Maybe next weekend, but to be decided. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Thank you, everyone, for the support, however it comes through. Patreon, PayPal, tons of super chats today. Really appreciate it. Happy 100th episode to everyone. Thank you. Special shout out to Denise, who has done these amazing table of contents for every episode. So she's now working on episode 100. And you can find those by going to MandoLessons.com. Click the little green button that says Live Q&A. And in there, there's some links. Scroll down a little bit to the MandoLessons Live. Losing my voice. MandoLessons Live tune index. There's just a couple different PDFs that all link right to the specific times in the things. If you're looking for anything particular, that's the place to find it. Thank you all so much. Have a great weekend. Oh, next tune. Good question. How about, I'll look at stuff, but also if people have tune suggestions, throw them out there. And I will also look, and we can all work on this together. See what happens. List of playing line. Another sheet that, whoops, that's not right. Another list that Denise keeps for me. How about Behind the Haystack? Didn't we already do that one? Well, let's do it. Behind the Haystack, even if we already did it. Great Irish tune, key of D, another 3-part tune, but a lot more straightforward than Ways of the World. Behind the Haystack. B part. C part. Great tune. We haven't done a jig in a while, so there you go. Jig, 3-part jig in D. Great Irish tune. Behind the Haystack is next week or next live stream. I'll let you know when it's going to happen. Thank you all so much. Have a great weekend, and see you all again soon. Bye-bye.